Stephanie, the big show is launching. How excited are you to get into the chair and host your first show as the official host of the morning edition?
Pretty excited. As you know, I filled in over the years from time to time, but it was never my show and never my job entirely. And it's such a great job, and it's such a privilege to be there because the variety of stories that we get to cover is enormous. Everything from what's the United Nations doing in a troubled zone to what does the mayor of Regina say about something that's happening in our city. And to be at the center of that, to get the opportunity to hold people to account when they need to be, but also to hear people's stories, people who are making an incredible difference in one way or another. It's just such a fun job.
How is it different from what you used to do as a reporter? How do you see the differences?
You know, it's really more, of course, we're still human beings as reporters, but we don't always show that side of ourselves, right? If you're scrumming a politician or you're grilling the premier on something, we might chit-chat behind the scenes about dogs or something. You might know that someone is an animal lover, but it's not really part of your persona as a reporter. You have a job to do, you're in, you're out, you get it. You're pretty serious. You don't have to be as serious in this job. Sometimes you need to be, but not all the time. It feels like a more well-rounded experience, and there's more interaction. You'll know from Twitter, we have a fair amount of interaction with people who are really interested in politics, say. This is a more rounded experience where moms will write and say something about what their children are doing, and just the kinds of interactions you might not get about a political story.
What are the challenges of bouncing around to topics? Because you say you get a wide variety. You may go from something very serious to something lighthearted. How do you sort of balance that in the morning for the listeners?
It is different because covering politics, in a way, when you're interviewing politicians, it's easy because you have the same tone all the time, right? And you don't mind that much if you hurt their feelings. I don't anyway, because they're elected to answer questions. Not that I would want to be a jerk about it, but that's their job, is to answer my questions, I always felt. It's more difficult, I find, to ask people who don't have to come in and tell me their story. Tough questions and questions that people want to know the answers to. Because you know that they're coming and giving that to you generously. And so to still do a good job and make sure people aren't yelling at the radio that I left a question on the table unasked because I felt uncomfortable is more challenging than I'd have thought. But if you're a good listener and you can gently ask some of the questions that I might have more been yelling from the back of a scrum when it was a politician.
What's the Stefani Langenegger morning edition going to look like? How is it going to be different from what people are used to hearing?
I hope it really reflects the deep love that I have for this province and its people, because I've spent almost all my life here, the beginnings of it in rural Saskatchewan and the latter part in the city. And I feel like I have a good sense of who makes up this province, but it's also a really exciting time because the province is really changing. You can see that in our cities. It's much different than when I was a child. And so that combination of what I've known and loved about this province for a long time, but also where we're going together now and as a new province, that is a really exciting thing to do. And to be at the center of that, I hope I'll just bring my love for it and also my curiosity about what's next for us all in this really exciting, interesting province that's always really had amazingly interesting people.
And I'll see you Friday morning. We'll be on the show. I can't wait. Good luck with the show. It's going to be fun.
Congratulations to you too. It's going to be really exciting that the political panel continues, but I pass the baton to you and I'll still get to be part of it by interviewing
And
you.
I thank you for it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have to keep Marie in check.
Yes, we will.
Listeners will look forward to that on Fridays. Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Thanks, Adam.